we're about 5 months away from the iPhone 17 Pro Max. If you take a look here, we're in April. We should be seeing an iPhone 17 Pro Max just right here in early to mid September. So usually it comes more close to middle, but we're not too far away. So I want to start talking about some of the things early on here that I think Apple needs to fix in 2025 on the Max series phones. Now, this might actually be called the 17 Ultra. We'll have to see if Apple stays with the Max naming or if they go Ultra. We're going to have to see what happens there. But overall, let's go ahead and take a quick look at what the leaks are showing in terms of the actual look of. All you have to do is Google, quickly 17 Pro Max. And the main thing we're seeing is this camera bar look here, as you'll see from some of these websites and case makers leaking on the internet. You'll find just this like bigger bump camera on the back, which is one of the main things that we're seeing. But I want to talk about the very first one they need to improve here. And I got the 15 Pro Max here and the 16 Pro Max here. And while these phones are definitely a little bit different, they're not drastically so. So let's go ahead and go into battery. And the first thing I want to see is a huge boost in battery life. Every single year, the iPhone is getting a little bit better sometimes, but sometimes they go backwards. I really hope they don't do that this year. Even if it means it's going to be a little bit thicker or something like that, I do think it'd be nice to see this phone last significantly longer than even the 16 Pro Max, which is already more than enough for almost every user. I do think that having 2 days, this is like a day and a half, 2 days, would really push us beyond most of the competition. And a lot of the competition is getting bigger batteries this year, so that's a really big deal to really push forward with a better battery life. The second thing is faster charging. Now, USB-C was brought here on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Great change, but I want to see it charge faster. The 16 Pro Max, just 25 watts or so. It's just not fast. It's one of the slower charging phones out there. And I don't want to hear the age-old argument, oh, well, this battery lasts longer because you're not fast charging. I don't care. I want faster charging. That's the bottom line. And if you don't like want that or care, well, that's fine too. But it's still an advancement. If they make the phone charge much faster, it is an upgrade over these phones. And it fixes one of the problems that you got to wait forever for your iPhone to charge. So definitely want that. The third one is going to be heat management. Now, the iPhone 15 Pro Max definitely struggled in this area, and some people say that it still gets too warm. This definitely was one of those phones, and usually that tends to occur a lot of the times when you have a sleeker, thinner, lighter phone. But this was the first titanium Max, and it was very sleek, very thin for its size. It was a sleek phone, very, very nice stuff. But the heat management wasn't there, and they did have to throttle it back a bit, but overall, it just wasn't the best in that department. But the 16 Pro Max definitely did much better here, but I wish we could see even better heat management, because even when you're pushing this under load, it can still get quite warm. So they can improve thermals once again. So the next one is the zoom game. So the iPhone has really good zoom now, 5 times, but 5 times and 25 topping out is kind of old in this higher end space. I mean, the S Ultra has been doing 10x zoom for several years, so that feels very dated actually. Of 5 times, you can see 10x here and then all the way up to 100x, and even some of the cheaper competitors in the flagship space are doing better than Apple when it comes to zoom distance. So I think they really need to up the zoom game. We're paying the same prices, if not more sometimes, than competitors, and we're getting less zoom. I understand it's still an improvement, don't get me wrong, and some people argue most people don't need that much zoom. I get it, but if you don't need the features, then don't buy the top-end phone. Buy the regular devices or something like that. I'm paying here for the flagship phone, the best of the best. I want the best of the best. That's just the bottom line. So give me 10x zoom on the 17 Pro Max. That's a fix that I'd like to see. Just because when I'm going on vacation or whatever I'm zooming in, I want 10 times optical. I don't want to have to get reduced quality after the 5 times, especially on those further reaching subjects. It really is quite nice when you're reaching in on buildings or you're like way off in the distance. You want a sharp photo. It's a really nice upgrade that they can make easily, I think, on the next version, even if that means giving us a bigger camera bump. I don't really want that, but if that's what it means, it would still be an upgrade. Better and smarter AI integration. Now, I do realize that the Siri has been updated. We do have Apple Intelligence, but it's in beta. And I've tried Galaxy AI, the Google Pixel AI, and this one. And I gotta tell you, the best one to me is definitely probably the Samsung because they give you most of what the Pixel's giving you, but with Galaxy AI. This one, and the Pixel's great as well. This one, you can't circle to search. Even if they made their own like Siri to search circle or something like that. I don't know. You get what I'm saying? It's just not the best AI experience I found. I find myself still just using chatbots on here mostly. Whereas with the Android devices and the competitors, I do find myself, especially like on the S Ultra, just holding down for Gemini, and I have my chat assistant right there, ready to go. And yes, I do have Siri. Just hold down. You got Siri and all that good stuff. Tap here to talk to Siri, but it's just not as smart as Gemini. So I do think that they can do a little bit better in that space. I think they know that. They don't need this channel to tell them that. They know that. But definitely that would be a nice upgrade. As a person who's been buying these phones for years, I like to see better, tighter integration with AI. And the next one would be a seriously different looking phone. Now, based on what we were looking at right here, if you just kind of scroll through all these images, you are seeing these different looks all across the internet, but they generally are looking kind of the same with just a huge camera bar on the rear. Now, of course, that's all you really need to distinguish the difference between the older phone and a new phone. But if it still retains like the same exact dynamic island shape and size and the same look on the front, and I know you can't really go much further than this, it will look like basically the same phone, mostly with a different back. We have reached close to peak iPhone. I do think our next evolution is going to be into the foldable space. That's just like the natural progression because they kind of peaked out here, but they can always change the camera. They can always get dynamic island out of here. That could be the next upgrade, like get this totally off my screen, make this full screen. And the bezels are basically at, I think, where the closest they might be able to go. We might be able to go fully edge, but we're almost there already. So it's looking exciting for that dream of an all-screen iPhone coming here in the future. But they just need to make a phone that looks pretty different. So we can definitely tell, because it's like clockwork year after year. The phone looks the same after the same after the same. And it tends to get pretty boring, if I'm being honest with you. But they still find a way to make it exciting during launch, but at the same time, I would like to see a seriously, obviously different looking product so you can tell this is the new 17. This is not the phone of last year, because look at this. If I hold these up side by side, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. If I put a 14 Pro Max here, you'd be hard pressed as well. Let's move on to the camera space. I already know what camera upgrades I'd like to see them fix. One, let's go 48 megapixel on the telephoto. It doesn't make sense that I only have two 48 megapixels on here on the ultra wide. So let's go ahead and in the main wide, let's go ahead and make the telephoto 48 megapixels. Just make the whole system triple 48 like we used to do with the triple 12. It just makes everything more consistent across the board. And let's really finally upgrade this front-facing camera. This camera is good. Don't get it wrong. It's very good. But let's go ahead and up the quality. Let's go 24 to 48 megapixels on the front. That's a really pro option. And the 15 Pro Max brought 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is why it still has Apple Intelligence. However, I will say that I'd like to see on the 17 Pro Max them fix this and go to 12 gigs. It's just natural progression. We want to see more RAM year after year. But 12 gigs has been on the Pixel since last year. The new Pixel has like 16. So and the Samsung phones have been on 12. So Apple, it's time to catch up here as well. Let's go 12 GB of RAM. Don't tell me you can't do it. We know you can. You're putting 16 gigs of RAM on base MacBooks. You could definitely do 12 on these high-end phones that cost sometimes more than the MacBook. So let's go ahead and get that to 12 gigs. That's a must fix, I would say, here when the 17 Pro Max does launch. I also want to talk about one that really irks me still and will forever irk me until they fix this on especially this large phone. No ability to split screen. We have one app at a time on a massive screen. I know some people say, well, you can't really multitask. The human brain can only focus on one thing at a time. I get what you're saying, but you can still put like a calculator in your bank app on one side. That would be really nice. You can kind of like manage your finances right there in split screen. I feel like a lot of times I have to get off my iPhone, go to the iPad, or go to the MacBook just to do some more intense or multitasking based things, just because simply I wanted to do it on my iPhone really quickly, get this task done, but I can't split screen. So it just slows me down. So for a top end phone, which is aimed at higher end users, I think most would really like a split screen option. Some people are still going to say they don't care, and that totally makes sense, but I'd rather it be there, even if it's a more simple implementation, than it rather not be there. So definitely that's when I want to see them fix for real. That would have to come through the way of iOS 19. And lastly, I want to talk about another one, more scratch resistance and durability. That would be nice, and more performance as well. These phones are definitely being outdone by the Snapdragon 8 Elite phones, and it's time for Apple to take the crown back in the area of performance, because they were beating on everybody for a long time, but these manufacturers have taken note, and they're improving not only their animations, but the competitors are also bringing very fast GPUs, very good thermals, and very powerful CPUs. So these things, these iPhones are no longer the fastest kids on the block, although they do still have the best single core performance out of most phones and some of the most polished and frequently updated software, which is really a strong suit for these devices and why they still tend to hold that value. In addition, Apple branding is second to none, basically. So yeah, those are the areas I want to see fixed on the 17 Pro Max. Again, we are seeing rumors, case rumors, and things of that sort of a bigger, massive camera bar, potentially thicker for a larger battery. But let me know if you agree with most of the things I want to see upgraded on this phone. And if you think there's more and I didn't cover a few of them that you're like, come on, Nick, you gotta tell them about this upgrade that we need. What is that upgrade that you're thinking about? Drop that down below in the comments, and thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more technology news, content, reviews, comparisons on this channel. I'll catch you all in the next one. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.